And welcome back, guys, to the channel here today. And today we're going to be looking at just the season recap here for you guys. So I'm going to split the season recap up into National League and the American League side here, just because it would take a very long time for me to go through both the AL and the NL teams together in the same video, and the video would be, really long, probably an hour to an hour and a half if I were to really try and do both leagues in the same video. That's just not going to work, and that's just going to be too long of a video that you guys are never going to want to sit through. So I'm going to split this up. We're going to look at the National League teams today, and then we're going to look at the American League teams in the next episode. And then after that, we're going to go to the playoffs. So we're taking a look here at the divisions first off. And this is the American League East, and this is the toughest division in the entire league this year by far. The New York Honey Badgers, the best team in the American League talent-wise, I think, in my opinion. They did not earn the top overall seed in the American League, though. We'll get to them here later on in the standings look here, but they didn't. They got 99 wins this season. They were just a incredible force. And then we took a look at the Aces and the Mustangs there in that last series, in that last 3 games of the season, and the Aces ended up taking that wild card spot, their second wild card spot there in the American League, and getting 86 wins. Meanwhile, the Mustangs just finishing outside of the playoffs again at 85 and 77. So really, really tight division. And then you see the Barons, who, as I said earlier, traded a lot of their pieces away. They had, a few really big trades for some key guys this last season, and they ended up still recovering for a 500 record, honestly, which is better than I really thought they were going to do this season, for sure. But 81 and 81 for the Barons. They're not a very good team right now, though. And then you look at the Expos, and they were pretty bad here, 73 and 89. Their pitching just not very good. They're pretty good in all those other rankings. But New York, really, really good team here, but they were not the top seed, and that belonged to the Red Wings. And the Red Wings, the only 100-win team in the entire league this year, I think, at 162. They had a crazy, crazy stacked offense, the best offense in the American League, and I think, either the number 2 or the number 1 offense in the entire, in all of baseball this year. They were incredible this season with the 100-win season, and that's like the 3rd or 4th time that franchise has done that. And, they have great pitching ranked, but their pitching was not the strong suit of that team. But still, 100 wins, they're going to be the top seed. They're going to be a force to beat in those playoffs. And then you got the Raptors. They are going to be the first wildcard team here at 90 and 72. Another postseason appearance for them. They have made the playoffs quite a bit in this franchise, and they will once again be in the postseason. And then you get the Bomba Squad, who just, a 500 team, man. That's what they've been for most of this franchise. And a pretty mediocre team all around, usually. And they finished with a mediocre 82 and 80 record. You have the Bees there. Did not perform very well. Their pitching was really awful this year. And, they won the World Series 4 years ago now, I think, at this point. But they are definitely rebuilding at the moment, 75 and 87. And then the Ballers, yeah, they're really rebuilding there at 69 and 93. So overall, the American League Central, pretty darn good here. Now, you get to the West, and this division was also very, very close. Now, the Reapers did win this division, but they only had 87 wins, which is very low, the lowest of any of the division. Actually, never mind. I should take that back. Not the lowest winning percentage of any of the division winners this season, but, the Reapers, only 87 wins, not a whole lot. I mean, the first wildcard team has more wins than they do. But the Diablos were right there in the mix. They only lost out on the division by 2 games, and they were very close to the wildcard spot. I think they only lost a wildcard spot by a singular game. So they really just barely missed out of the playoffs as well. And then you have the rest of this division, which is just not very good here. with the Vipers at 77 and 85. The Dragons at 73 and 89. And then the Crazy Jacks, the worst team, or actually the second worst team in the entire league record-wise this season, at 57 and 105. Over 100 losses. They keep getting that. Man, over 100 losses, I think, for 3 or 4 straight years now for the Crazy Jacks. They are just in a really, really rough spot right now and are deep in a very bad rebuild right now for Seattle. But yeah, you have the Houston Reapers there. They do win that division, and they take it over, just barely over the Mexico City Diablos. So we will have the playoff games, guys, and this was just a season of a lot of growth for me, for sure. A lot of issues, so many issues with this first year in the franchise, and I talked about that in the draft episode. But man, it was really a tough year for me. I was really struggling through it, but we're getting through this first year, and we were finally done with it. I mean, you take a snapshot of that American League wildcard race, and it's really close there. The Diablos and the Mustangs, both 85 and 77, both missing on the playoffs in the American League. So the American League was pretty tight there. And we, in real life, we have already done the playoffs, and we were actually on to season 2, which was technically season 8, since we started, because we started in 2020. But we're pretty far ahead. We already know. I already know what happens in the postseason here. But we're gonna get to the postseason, and we are going to show that. So we are gonna get to the stats now here, and Walker Buehler here. I mean, he's the best pitcher in baseball, guys. This is not really even a contest anymore. A 2.40 ERA and a 1.05 WHIP. This guy is absolutely insane. He is a 99 overall. He's only 31 years old. I mean, he has a career 2.77 ERA and a career 1.05 WHIP. This guy is just unbelievable. And then you got Luis Severino, who's also a 99 overall. Kind of a decent year for him, I would say, for sure. That's not, maybe not, probably could say you could do better, but still pretty damn good there at 3.48 ERA. And then you get to Tyler Glasnow, who had a 3.62 ERA. He was traded from Boston this season, and he performed very well for him there at the 1.32 WHIP. He's at 93 overall, going into his age 33 season next year. We'll see what he can do. But I mean, the 1.23 there is really, really good. Now Jose Urena, not very good this season. 4.59 and a 1.4 WHIP. He will be leaving and will be going to another team next year. And then you get Bronson Pitts, who pitched quite a bit, 25 starts this year, almost basically a full season for him. And he wasn't very good, but he did increase. And that's really all that I care about with Bronson Pitts this year. I did not expect him to do very well in his first season, but he went up a lot. He went up +6, and a couple +6s in there, some +3s, +4s. So Bronson Pitts, I think he's going to be a great starter in this league. And, just really wanted to get him some starts this season, and he was okay in the opportunities that he was given. Not great, though. Waylon Everett, not very good this year at all. Really struggled, 4.78 ERA. This bullpen overall, really, really solid, though. Thomas Pinon was excellent with just over 3 ERA. He's a really undervalued reliever in this game, I think. He's been really good for a few years in a row now. Another good season for him. Matt Wisler was okay, 4.15. Nothing too crazy special there for him. Rico Ortega, though, this guy is sick, man. He is so good. Another really good season for him now, 3 years in a row with a really good ERA. A 3.28 ERA for Ortega in 79 innings. And he really increased, man. +6, +9, +10 in home run per 9, +8, +4, and +2. I mean, yeah, he went up a crazy amount. He's only going to be 25 next year. He's one of the best, young relief pitchers that are in the entire game right now. Really, really great season for him. And then you get to Donovan Shorter, who was not actually their closer here, and he was not great. 4.11 ERA. He's a 91 overall, and he's only 26. So you figure, okay, he can grow. He has time to grow, right? Not a great season for him, though. But Jose Alvarado, this man was absolutely nutty. A 2.01 ERA and a 1.20 WHIP. I mean, ridiculous. Jose Alvarado's been a pretty decent setup man for a while now, but my goodness, last year he was off the charts. Chad Green was a pretty darn good relief closing pitcher here with 47 saves and an under 3 ERA. The whip really, really good at just 101. So a really good bullpen. This team's bullpen is stacked. They're going to be playing in the wild card game against the Cougars, and we'll see what happens. I mean, they won the World Series last year, and so this is a really good team here. And offensively, they're very good as well. Wander Franco, another 30 homer season for him, and I mean, he just gets on base, man. Another hit season with over 180 hits, 305 average. He's got insane stats, man. 99 on 92 on those contact numbers. He's ridiculous. Now, Marcelo Zuna, not talking on him as a person in real life. My goodness, what an incredible season for him in this game. 33 homers and 87 RBIs with a 308 average and a 400 on base percentage. This man had a career year, basically, this season. I mean, it was ridiculous. I did not expect that from Marcelo Zuna this year at all. Took me way off guard. I mean, he had almost a 968 OPS. Whatever way you slice it, Marcelo Zuna at 35 was ridiculous. And then you got Freddie Freeman, who, of course, is so good. 41 homers again for him, another season with over 40 dingers and, 97 RBIs. He is just one of the best first basemen there is in the game. And, yeah, he's crazy. Now, Fran Reyes was pretty darn good, but you got to compare it. I mean, last season he was the MVP. Honestly, disappointing season. Coming off of an MVP season in 2025, 2026 was a step back for Franville. It still wasn't a bad season per se, but, I mean, you compare with last year and even the year before that where he had 45 homers, it's kind of a down year for Franville. He is only 30 years old, so he's certainly young enough that season won't really affect him too much. But then you get to Javier Baez, and man, 36 home runs for Javi. That is a career high for him, and 103 RBIs. I believe that is also a career high for him. The average is not ever really super high with him. The on base is kind of even worse, honestly. He strikes out a lot, and he doesn't really walk very much, but he's an incredible defender. One of the best defensive, shortstop, second baseman in the game. And, yeah, he hit 36 home runs. You're going to take that from Javier Baez. And he's 33 years old right now. But an overall great season. Next year, the final year of his contract, I don't see him coming back to this team after next season. I actually think he's going to be probably going into free agency then, but we'll have to see. And now Joey Gallo, this is a really bad year for him. I mean, he batted 285 last year, which is really, really good for him. But, man, even the home run numbers and the RBI numbers were way, way down. He had 199 strikeouts, which, this guy, I mean, he has 200 strikeouts a season, basically, is what he averages. And he has 2,000 strikeouts in his career, which is crazy, considering he's only played 10 years in the bigs. But, yeah, I mean, he just strikes out way, way, way too much. Just a really disappointing season for Joey Gallo, man. Really disappointing season for him. And hope that he can bounce back, but definitely a step in the wrong direction. Now, Max Kepler, he's all right out there in right field. And, 30 home runs, basically. 265 on the average. It was a pretty decent season for Max Kepler. Now, Zach Collins was terrible. And this guy was just paid. Look at that. He was just given a 5-year contract. And he's one of the highest paid catchers in the entire league. And you can see why. Because last year he had a 296 average with 24 homers. And then the year before that he had 25 homers. So he was really good offensively for 2 years in a row. But then last year, man, holy crap, was he super bad this season, man. 8 home runs, not even double-digit homers. 41 RBIs, just terrible. 230 average for him. Struck out a crazy amount. Just an all-around terrible season this year for Zach Collins. So overall, really good lineup. I mean, you take Zach Collins out of the equation. But, man, it's a good lineup. It's a great pitching staff. It's a good team. Yeah, that's what I'll say about it. All right, now we're going to move on to the Rebels. And this team did not perform very well this year. Not a very good record-wise. As Jake Flaherty, really bad season for him. I don't know where that came from because he's been a reliable pitcher for a while now, and just really bad this season. Really, really bad. 4.54 ERA and almost a 1.5 WHIP. Those are not good numbers at all. And then you get Jordan Yamamoto, who was decent. That's about it for him. Decent. He is mad, upset. He's angry right now, but he was decent this season. 3.81 ERA, 1.36 WHIP. Dylan File, pretty bad there. Vince Velasquez, also pretty bad. Pitching staff as a whole, pretty bad. And man, Casito Fajita, this guy might need to go down to AA or AAA next season because, my goodness, he was awful this year. And he was really bad in his rookie season. I don't know. He's maybe not ready for the majors. And he honestly could see playing in the minors next year. Just super bad. A terrible pitching staff, really, really, really. When you want to let down, and not a great bullpen here either. I mean, Brian Abreu was good last year, bad this year again. Martin Weber was okay. Nick Wintergren was pretty bad. Keelan Ballard was really, really bad in his rookie season. He's only 22, but man, that was a step in the wrong direction for him. That was pretty terrible there. And then you have Aaron Fletcher, who was pretty darn good. One of their best options here out of the bullpen with 3.34. I think he's honestly a undervalued reliever. And then you have Brett Martin here, who was, only blew 3 saves, had 44 saves, somehow only blew 3 saves. But the ERA is pretty high for him. The WHIP is also pretty high. He also pitched a little bit less, it looks like, than he usually does. So Brett Martin, overall, a interesting season. It was decent, but not great. All right, you saw the home run number. Look at that, 42 dingers for Francisco Lindor. My goodness, what a season for him, man. 103 RBIs, a 277 average. He had a 929 OPS. He was crazy. A 549 slugging percentage. I don't know where he got the ridiculous power stroke from all of a sudden in his game, but man, I mean, he is so talented. He's probably going to be moved to second base next season just because they have a rookie, Jordan Groshans, who's going to be called up next year. But man, what a great season for that man. And Chu Chung, decent in his rookie year. He doesn't hit for power, so no surprise that his power number is not there, but a alright season. Now Vladdy, he is maybe the best third baseman in the entire league. I mean, this guy is so incredibly good. 38 home runs this year, another season with over 100 RBIs. And he just continues to increase his home run total year after year after year, man. 38 this year, 35 last year, 33 the year before, 29 the year before that. I mean, a 321 average, almost 200 hits, over 400 on base. Yeah, Vladdy was ridiculous this season for sure. Stanton really good. I mean, he's 36. He doesn't have a glove really. I mean, he's very terrible defensively. But it doesn't really matter when you have a guy that's hitting 30 home runs and over 100 RBIs, right? I mean, he's a great hitter. No denying that. And he had a great season. He will be 37, so we'll see what the decline really starts to look like for him here as he really starts to get up there in age now. 37 next year and the year of this contract here in 2027. So we'll see what happens with him. Likely going to get worse, but still a good season for him. So you look here also, Jack Peterson, 28 home runs this year, 73 RBIs. The average really low. I mean, he never hits for average ever. But 212 average, only a 267 on base. Not great. DJ Stewart was this team's right fielder, and he actually performed very well. Really his first season ever as a starter, so good job there for DJ Stewart. batting .282 with almost 30 home runs. And then Javier Valdez, he's a young guy, rookie, so he came in and did not do very well in 79 games. Had 290 at-bats and didn't really perform all that well. Rowdy Tellez also didn't really perform very well in 111 games. And then Dom Nunez was pretty bad there as their catcher, only batting .214. 291 on base. Just not a very good season for Dom Nunez, but in the end, he's not really he's not really a starting catcher caliber. That's kind of the thing with Nunez. So overall, this is a team that really did struggle. They had definitely a lot of really lackluster pitching. That was their biggest thing. And their lineup was okay. Certainly not anything special. Now, this team was, right around 500, pretty close to it. And, they just have a lot of average guys here. Lucas Giolito was pretty average here with a 3.84 ERA. Nothing super special for him. He does have 2 more years left on that contract, though, but not anything crazy there. Luke Weaver was pretty dang good, actually, below or above expectations for him, I would say. Pretty good season there for Luke Weaver with just right around a 3.5. Francisco Morales, he's a young pitcher, but not a good season for him at all. 4.46 is not very good. Brady Singer was all right. I guess that's it's only his second season being a full-time starter, and he was okay. 4.12 ERA, nothing too crazy special there. And then Luis Saucedo actually did really good here. 24 years old. He's an 87 overall. He did very good. 3.6 and a 1.36 whip. Really a lot of growth from his rookie season when he only had a 5.07 ERA. And his numbers reflect that. He increased a lot here, +6, +9. So, good season overall for Luis Saucedo, but overall not a great pitching staff here. And then the bullpen is really bad. We're gonna go through this pretty quickly here. Just nothing really too special. Gary Boggs is really disappointing after a pretty good season last year, then an even better one the year before that. So, not a great season for him. Just a really bad pitching staff. I mean, look at all the high ERAs here on this bullpen, actually. And they got Tyler Kolek in a trade from Chicago at the trade deadline, and he had an amazing second half because when we traded him, he had an over 4 ERA, and he ended up having a 3.06. That's what he finished with. And he went up +5 and +6 and walk per nine +9 and home run per nine. He's got some darn good stats now, for sure. He's 26 years old, going to be next year. But yeah, I mean, I traded for Tyler Kolek at the deadline, and he had an amazing second half of the season. That's what I'll say about Tyler Kolek. So, good job there. And then Edwin Diaz, he blew 3 saves. He was just okay. Not anything super crazy there. In the closer position, he's probably a mid to bottom tier closer in this league, honestly. And then the offense was pretty average here, I would say. As Henry Cabrera, not really super impressive here. He's been batting. He's had some better seasons than that, and just an alright season for him. Gavin Lux, he's been super disappointing as a prospect in this entire franchise, but maybe he is going in the right direction. I mean, he had 28 home runs. He had a career high in RBIs as well. He did grow a lot, and especially in those hitting numbers. He batted .252. I don't know if he's ever going to be a true superstar in this league, but maybe last year a good step in the direction for him. I am not sure, but Cody Bellinger, an alright year. I mean, this is one of, a down year for him, but it's still an amazing year for anybody else. The power numbers, though, really did go down for him, only 25 home runs. And then you look at Dom Smith, 30 home runs this season with a .240 average. That's really good for him. The average is never high with him anyway, so. And then you certainly take that from Dom Smith, traded from Washington this year, and he did fine, just fine. And then you got Aristides Aquino here. He's an alright player, and he had an alright season, man. .245 average with almost 30 home runs, 80 RBIs. He's not a bad outfielder, but not necessarily anything special. And then Hector Venezuela, this guy was special, though. 173 hits. Man, 312 average. You know, the power number, it's not there. He's not a power hitter anyway. But, man, he had a really, really great season, man. A 375 on base. Plus 12 to contact versus lefties, which is just absolutely wild. Just absolutely insane here. So, you know, Hector Venezuela, overall, really good rookie season. Finished second in the Rookie of the Year voting. And so, by the way, guys, I am actually using a microphone that I just got this morning on Christmas. That is when I'm recording this video right now. And I am actually doing this recording ever since Jack Peterson. I'm actually recording on a Blue Yeti microphone right now. So, if the audio quality sounds a ton better, that's the reason why. Because I'm actually using a real mic now, not a really crappy mic that worked for, you know, the beginning, but this is a much better microphone that I'm using right now. So that's why this audio probably sounds a lot better. But then you have Brandon Woodruff, and oh my goodness, this guy, he didn't actually win, a little bit of a spoiler here for next episode, but he didn't actually win the Cy Young because it went to, oh goodness, it went to Aaron Nola, and he really didn't deserve it because Brandon Woodruff deserved this. He was the NL Cy Young Award winner, man. A 2.5 ERA and a 108 WHIP. I mean, this guy has been such a reliable ace, but honestly, this past year was the best year of his entire career, and just what a great season from Brandon Woodruff. Spencer Howard was not very good. Eduardo Rodriguez was pretty darn good. He's going to be a free agent this year. Will probably be leaving and going into free agency. Same thing with John Gray, who in the last few years has actually turned into a very reliable starting pitcher. He was pretty bad before 2024, but since then he's been really good. And this year he was really good. A 3.29 ERA, easily a career high for him. A very good season from John Gray. He is going to be a free agent though. And then you get Luke Redding, nothing much to say there. Really not a good starting pitcher. So you got a Dane Dunning, and he was alright. This bullpen was pretty alright all around. Not anything super crazy here. You got Felix Chavez, though, who is kind of ridiculous, man. B potential that increased. 84 overall now, 30 years old, and he was excellent. 99 innings pitched, a 3.09 ERA. Really good there. Hank Bracken was legit. 99 innings pitched for him. He's a rookie, and wow, was he incredible. 2.55 ERA and a 1.18 WHIP. And 99 innings pitched this season, man. Hank Bracken is crazy. He had a really cracked year for sure. And then you get to Victor Urano, and, you know, a good year right here. This is actually probably the best. Actually, he had 52 games. He was really good a few years ago. But a good season there for sure for Urano. And Hunter Wood was pretty bad. I mean, that's not a good season. 13 blown saves is way too many. This is a guy that's won reliever of the year before, so not sure what happened to him, but my goodness, 13 blown saves, really not good. The WHIP is pretty low, actually. About where he was at last year in WHIP, but man, the ERA is super high for him. You know, in 57 innings pitched, he had a very high ERA. 13 blown saves. Not a good season there for Hunter Wood. You know, you could really slot Hank Bracken or Victor Urano in there as the closer, and then they would have performed much better. You know, Hank Bracken really did increase a lot as well this year, but this team overall offensively was very weak. Colin Moran did get traded from Boston, and he was good. I mean, he had almost 200 hits, so that's a good thing for Colin Moran, and that's a good leadoff hitter. But Brian Anderson was just okay. Not anything super special really here. Right around 30 home runs, but not anything crazy from Brian Anderson. And then Christian Yelich was just really bad, guys. I mean, 250 on the average. Only, you know, the on base really isn't terrible, but he was really bad. I mean, only 133 hits, only 26 homers, less than 30 home runs, and only 76 ribbies. This is a guy that won the MVP in 2024, and a guy that has been such a reliable offensive force. I mean, this is one of the best offensive players in the entire league. Last year was really bad. He tanked in overall. I mean, he was a 95 or something before when the year started, and he went down to an 87, minus 11 on contact versus lefties, minus 8 in the other contact versus righty stat. I mean, just an overall really terrible year from Christian Yelich. And, he's 34, going to be 35. So I think his decline is really sharp and pretty unexpected, but it's going to happen. He is going to continue to go down. Just not a good season at all for him. And Eli was excellent. Eli Jimenez is really good. I mean, you look at his stats, they're insane. 43 home runs, 100 RBIs again for the fourth straight year. He is easily one of their, they're probably the best offensive guy that they got. And Matt Olson was disappointing, man. Disappointing. Not really expecting a high average from him, but when they signed him, he had 37 home runs last year, and he had 30 before. The year before that, you're expecting him to get 30 home runs this year, and it just didn't happen. He only had 25. He had, not many hits. He just didn't show off his power at all, really. He didn't walk very much. Just not a good season for Matt Olson, and he's only going to be older, 33 years old next year, so that might end up being a signing that they are going to regret. And Ricky Seymour was also very bad. I mean, a 239 average. Yeah, the on-base is kind of okay, but only a 714 OPS. He's not a power hitter, right? But, goodness, only 36 ribbies last year. I mean, that's terrible. How do you only have 36 RBIs? Just a really bad season for Ricky Seymour, and he lowered his potential because of it. And it's just really unfortunate. He's only 24, but not a positive step at all for Ricky Seymour in his development. And then Jerry Kelenic was just terrible. I mean, he's probably the worst outfielder in the entire league, I would say, right now. And, he's already 26. How good is Jerry Kelenic really even going to be ever in this franchise? Just terrible. I mean, just really, really bad on both the average fronts. I mean, not good there. Matt Chappell, alright rookie year, I'd say, I guess. Below 300 on base, which is not the best. He didn't really increase all that much. 16 home runs, near 60 ribbies. It's a decent rookie season, not anything super special, though. And, I mean, you can see, man, I mean, the offense overall, terrible. Eli Jimenez, the only guy that really pulled any weight in this entire lineup. Colin Moran was good, but they didn't get him until midway through the season, so just a really bad offensive team, and that's what they consistently have struggled with is the offense, man. You have Yelich and Eli there, that the 3-4, they've always had those two guys, but the offense as a whole around those two guys has always been really weak, and this year it was really bad, so that's why they missed the playoffs, and that's why they had a pretty disappointing season. Now we go to Chicago, and I love this team, man. This team is a World Series contender. They are so good, and this pitching staff is legit top tier. Hunter Green, nasty. He was really good last year, but he was even better this season. He's 99 overall, and he's one of the best pitchers in the league. I mean, it's settled now. He is a top pitcher in this game, and he had a career year this season, man. Just ridiculous. I really, really am high on Hunter Green. I like him a lot. And, this year was just so good. Domingo Germán was really good. I mean, under 4 ERAs, good. You take that. Not as good as last year, but still, I mean, a 3.90 ERA, pretty darn good there. I would take it. He had a very similar whip to last year, so not sure why he gave up so many more runs, but very good there. Logan Webb is insane. I mean, I don't know where this came from. Easily a career year for him this past year. I mean, a 3.12 ERA, a 1.26 whip, which is kind of around where he's been the last few years, but man, he was so good. He came over from Seattle, and he just found his home here in Chicago, I guess, because he was so good. What a signing, by the way, by Chicago this offseason. Blake Snell, really good. I mean, you take that. That's your number 4 pitcher, so you have to take that from your number 4 starter. A 3.42 ERA is nothing at all to sneeze at. And then you have Tristan Mckenzie here, and Tristan Mckenzie, all right. Really, this is only the first season he's ever been a starter, so he's their number 5, so you're not expecting your number 5 to be super special, and he was okay. But, I mean, overall, it's just such a good starting pitching staff, dude. Such a good starting pitching staff here in Chicago, and, a team that's poised to do some really great things in the playoffs, man. Now, their bullpen ratings-wise is very good, but it was kind of... It just wasn't really that good. I mean, they had a lot of high ERAs on this bullpen despite the talent that is on this bullpen and the overall ratings that are on this bullpen. I mean, you can see it right here. Valdez didn't play very much, but, I mean, those two guys, high ERAs. Michael Lorenzen was also terrible. I mean, he has been really bad. Ever since he went to Chicago, he has been terrible. I don't know what it is about him in Chicago, but it's not good. He's not working out there. Josh Taylor was alright. 3.48 ERA. It's okay. Nothing too crazy. He is, a 90 overall reliever. He's been good in the past. Tequila Ferguson, though, this guy showed up really big time. When a lot of the other guys were kind of struggling in this bullpen, he was there. He picked up a lot of the slack, and he was very, very good. A 2.69 ERA and a 1.35 WHIP in 63 innings. That's really good. And then you have Willie Castle, who is one of the best young closers and relievers in the entire league. He's up there for reliever of the year voting. I mean, 54 saves are career high. He did blow 10 of them, which is kind of high, but, I mean, so good. 3.39 on the ERA and 1.16 WHIP. He's only 24 years old, which is the crazy thing about it. He's only going to get better. Man, Willie Castle he's just kind of insane, man. Just kind of insane. And those stats are looking unbelievable right now. So, he's a 97 overall. Watch out. And overall, I think that's a really scary bullpen if you want to face that in the playoffs. But we'll have to go to the offense now. And the offense is certainly very good. You look at this lineup, and it's a lot of really good players here. And you have Christian Pache, who kind of took a step back in the average department from last year, I guess. He's great defensively. That's the thing that he does really well in his game. But last year, decent offensive numbers, I'd say. But Tristan Casas went off. He popped off in a big way last year. 45 homers. Ridiculous. I mean, 102 ribbies. 288 average. He was insane this past year, man. Just so good. Tristan Casas. One of the best offensive seasons in the entire league. And he went up like crazy. Plus 10 to contact versus righties. He is now one of the best third basemen, in the entire league. I mean, he's so good now. And last year was just an insane season for him. Juan Soto, honestly, kind of a down year for what he's done in his career. But a down year for Juan Soto is an above average to elite offensive year for anybody else. So still, I mean, you take, 38 home runs, 104 ribbies, ridiculous. The average is the thing that was a little bit lower than normal for him, but still, he's maybe the best player in the entire league right now, so you do not have to question that at all. Rhys Heinz was traded from New Jersey, and my goodness, was he so insane when he got here. He's a top 3 first baseman in the entire league, I think. Man, 291 average, a 40 home run season almost, and 116 ribbies. He was a really critical part of that offense for Chicago. A really good offensive boost that they really needed for sure in the second half of the season. And he's going to get a chance to do something that he never really had a chance to do in New Jersey, and that's win a championship. And now Carlos Correa, speaking of another player who is formerly a New Jersey Hawk, in a right year for Correa, it's a down year for sure, actually. You look at it, down year on the average, didn't show a whole, as much power as he did last year. Obviously, 30 home runs is still really good on the power front. But overall, kind of a down year for Correa, who will be entering his free agent year next season. So we'll see where that goes. But another down year kind of for J.J. Bleday, I would say. The average is lower. The on-base is a lot lower. The slugging is lower. Everything is lower for Bleday. I'd say that's a down year for J.J. Bleday, I think. 28 years old. He's still young, but kind of a down year for him. Glenn Mercer was good. 27 home runs, almost 100 homers, or almost 100. Oh my goodness, almost 30 home runs for him this season. He got increased quite a bit, and he had a good season there for Glenn Mercer. Now Leonard Berry one of the better catchers in the entire league, and he played a lot of games last year. I don't know why. He played 162 games. He had 590 at-bats, which is kind of ridiculous for a catcher. And he was good. I think he was maybe overworked a little bit. But overall, the offensive numbers for him are very good. I mean, 275 average, 15 home runs, but I think he might have gotten a little bit too much playing time. And that might have impacted his stats a little bit here. But you have Sam Hilliard, who was very, very good off of the bench for this team. I mean, the best person that they had off the bench. And I'm looking at their bench, and they don't have a backup catcher here on this team, on this roster right now for Chicago. So that's something that we didn't even notice until, really the next season. But Leonard Berry, didn't really have a guy that was backing him up, it seemed like. So now we go to Charlotte, and this team was not very good last year, but this year, they got back to how good they were in previous seasons. This is a really good roster, and they just underachieved last year, and they were back to being really a top team in the league this season again. A 3.01 ERA for Yonny Chirinos, who is just ridiculous, almost, honestly. Really, really good pitcher. He's pretty underrated, I feel like, in this game, but, man, is he ridiculously good. Carlos Martinez is really good, too. He's, a 3.75 ERA average kind of the last couple of years, and you take that. I mean, he's a good pitcher. He's fine. Nothing really wrong with that at all. Corbin Martin was, not as good as last year, certainly, but still under a 4 ERA. Still good, He's only going to be 30 next year. He's still probably in his prime, so he still can get better. But overall, maybe a little bit of a disappointing season for Corbin Martin. And then Pablo Lopez was not very good there. I mean, actually, I should take that back. He was actually pretty decent. Career year, really, for him. Actually, 2023, he was good for Atlanta. But, yeah, I mean, Pablo Lopez, a good signing for Charlotte, for sure. He went out and he actually had a pretty darn good season. He will be a free agent again. It'll be interesting to see if they re-sign him. I don't know if they will. But he did kind of show them that maybe you should sign me back. I don't know. And then we have Madison Bumgarner, who, he's not the same pitcher he once used to be. But it was better than last season for him. I mean, he's their number 5, and you take that from a number 5 pitcher, a 4.5 ERA. I mean, that's good. Not prime Madison Bumgarner necessarily, but he's still a Hall of Fame pitcher. I mean, he's a Ring of Fame pitcher for this team. He's so, he was really a big part of their team that they won, when the team was winning World Series and everything. And he was all right there at the number 5 spot. Nothing really complaining about there with Madison Bumgarner, who, I don't know, we'll see how long he keeps playing. I'm assuming he's going to be retiring here pretty darn soon, and he is going to be a free agent, so we'll see. He might not play very much more in the league. And the bullpen was definitely the weakest part of this team. I got to say it right now. Ross Stripling was kind of cracked. In 99.2 innings, basically pitched 100 innings, and he had a 3.25 ERA. I mean, I don't know where that came from. He's not really been that kind of a good pitcher since 2020 and 2021, but he was really good, man. He was really good for a 76 overall. And then Darren Mccoggin was pitching for the Rattlers. They got him in a trade at the deadline. And a good reliever there. Sure, I mean, 3.77 is good for him. Rex Morrison was pretty bad as a rookie. Honestly, that's not good. 5.44 is pretty bad there in his rookie season. Colin Poche was okay. Nothing too crazy. Kyle Barraclough was also traded from Colorado, and he was all right as well, 3.94. So, yeah, you can see. I mean, it's a really just average bullpen, man. Sir Anthony Dominguez had a down year for sure this season. 10 blown saves is a lot. He wasn't very good last year either, so I don't know why, because 2021 through 2024, he was, insane and one of the best relievers in the entire league. He's won reliever of the year before. So I don't know why all of a sudden, kind of out of nowhere, he's had 2 back-to-back pretty bad seasons in a row. Doesn't make any sense to me, because he's been a top reliever for a while now before that, but, yeah, just kind of a downward kind of trend for Sir Anthony Dominguez here, and downward year for sure last year. And again, the bullpen definitely the weakest part of this team. So we'll see what they can do. They can definitely win the wild card game here, and I think they are kind of a dangerous team. I can see them actually going pretty far, but we'll have to see. I mean, Randy Arozarena here, their offense is pretty darn good here. Randy Arozarena got over 200 hits last year. He wasn't that good at getting on base this season, so kind of a down year for Randy, but he's still a very good player. Gio Mendoza was excellent. I don't know where he was with the Diablos, and he was not very good. And then he went here, and he got a full season, and he was really good, man. 286 average, 25 homers, and 75 RBIs, an increase in potential. Gio Mendoza really came out of nowhere this year to be an actually really good player here, a really good third baseman. I still don't know where he came from really, but Johan Moncada here. He's really good there, and he had a pretty decent season here. I don't know where he's at in his career. I think he might be just kind of downward career, he's not past. I think he's past his prime probably, but overall good season for him. And then Kyle Saul, this guy's so good, man. He's 23 years old, and in his age 23 season he popped off. 324 average. He walked 73 times. He had 44 homers. He had 116 RBIs, both career highs. 324 average career high. 407 on base, which is ridiculous. And 1,000 OPS for this season, and that's ridiculous. I mean, Kyle Saul is one of the best young players in the entire league. This guy is so good. Plus 10 to contact versus lefties. Those hitting stats are absolutely cracked. I mean, Kyle Saul, he's really not good defensively, but it doesn't matter. Kyle Saul is ridiculous, dude. He's so good. And he's only 24. He's on his prime. He's only going to get better, it seems like. I mean, Kyle Saul, one of the best offensive players in the entire league. I mean, this is maybe a top 5 player in the entire league, honestly. He's so good. And then Mike McMahon kind of had a down year, especially when you compare it to last season and the year before that, really. So Kyle Saul, Ryan McMahon, had a down year, I think, and he decreased in potential, decreased in overall. And that sucks. He's one of the better first basemen in the league, but last year he was just not really the best there, and definitely did decline. And then Cory Lee, this guy is probably the best catcher in the entire league. I mean, this guy's the best catcher in baseball, I think, in my opinion. He is so good, dude. 27 homers last year, which is insane. He had career high in home runs, career high in RBIs, 150 hits for a catcher, by the way, which is ridiculous for a catcher. A catcher doesn't get on base that much. He bats .292 on the average. I mean, a catcher does not get on base as much as Cory Lee does. He has truly just gotten here, and man, he's been so good in his MLB action, dude. A catcher with a career .287 average is ridiculous. I mean, that's something that catchers just don't do. You don't ever see a catcher have a .290 average, but he does it every single year. And then you get Felix Merced, who, was decent in kind of, a full season here. He wasn't as good as last year, I don't think, but, he was decent there. Harold Ramirez actually got in for a lot of games this season, and he was all right, pretty decent. The home run numbers are definitely not there. And Edwin Rios only played 137 games, so he had a little bit of a smaller sample size, but he was really good since going from Mexico City to Charlotte. He never really got a chance to play over there in Mexico City, but he took the reins and was, third baseman, shortstop player, and he was pretty darn good here. 127 hits for him, 14 homers, 66 ribbies. A good season for Edwin Rios for sure. And overall, it's just an amazing offense, really, when you look at it. This is such a good offense, such a good lineup here, and just really good here. And this is a team that can make noise. This is a team that can be very special and can maybe do something in the playoffs. Now, this is the most disappointing team in the entire league because I predicted that this would be a playoff team this year, And they failed to do that, and they failed to even be a 500 baseball team this season. Such a disappointing year for the Trojans, man. And Deivi Garcia was not disappointing, though. He was very, very good. And he kind of showed that, he's 99 potential player, but he really never played like it. And he really was a pretty bland reliever or bland pitcher in the league. And he took his game to a pretty darn good level last year or this season, so good for him. Jacob Junis, not as good as they thought he was going to do when they signed him. I mean, a 3.04 ERA. It's not a good year, really, for Jacob Junis. A kind of a down year compared to last year for him. But Ethan Navarro, this guy's so good, man. 24 years old only. He's still super, super young. And he had a very, very good season again. An under 3 ERA. He's one of the best young and up-and-coming pitchers in the entire league. Really, really, really like Ethan Navarro for sure. And then Benito Hernandez, it's a step back. He had a 3 ERA last year, and he was looking like, okay, maybe I'm going to be a good pitcher in the league. And going into his age 23 season, I expected him to be very good, and he wasn't. He took a massive step back. He was not very good. 4.74 ERA is not good for him. He's still increased, but not a good season stat-wise for him. And Ethan Atkins, nothing really to say there. 5 in the order, he was not good. Tony Gonsolin, also not very good here in the long relief role. And honestly, this bullpen was pretty below average. William Lawson was not very good. He didn't get very many innings. Peter Carver was pretty bad. Jason Newell, pretty bad. Brett Honeywell, really bad, although limited sample size and only 22 innings. But still not good. And Matt Strahm was actually very, very good. I mean, look at the season last year. He was very, very bad last year. But they signed him. He was kind of a risk. And it paid off because he was actually really good for Little Rock. And then Luke Jackson, 9 blown saves, very high ERA, very high whip. A 1-for-1 whip is not good for him. He was just not the greatest. Not the greatest there. And I think he was the closer. And he was not very good saving games. He isn't going to be a free agent in the offseason. I wonder if he's going to stay. He might. So now we're going to go into this lineup. And Jason Dominguez, disappointing. And that's what I'm going to say. Jason Dominguez is disappointing. He's only 23, but last year he was like, maybe okay. Maybe he can be a little bit above average offensively. But then this year he took another step back. And he's just not a good offensive player. And it's annoying. It's very frustrating because he's a 99 overall. He's a 99 potential player. And he's amazing defensively. He's one of the best defensive center fielders in the entire game. But the offense, where is it? It needs to show up. It needs to come along. He needs to be better on offense. And it just hasn't happened yet for him. And he's still so young. I mean, 7 years of MLB service time for him, and he's only 23 is kind of ridiculous, but he's got to show up offensively at some point, man. Now, Kevin Newman, he is all right. He's really just a pretty decent second baseman. He's not anything super special at the position. He's never really been anything super special. Yordan Alvarez, by far their best hitter. So good, man. 39 homers, 105 RBIs, and a 328 average. And honestly, I feel bad for Yordan Alvarez because he's one of the best outfielders in the entire league. Yet, he's never been in the playoffs in this franchise so far. He's never been in the playoffs with Little Rock, and he definitely deserves to because he's such a good hitter, man. Now, Willie Adames was pretty bad. I mean, a down year for sure. I mean, he was good for a couple of years and really amazing last year, and he was pretty brutal. Just a bad year, a step back for Willie Adames for sure. Now, Shohei Ohtani was alright. A 289 average is not anything super... that's good. I honestly feel like I expect him to do better, especially with power. I expect him to hit a lot more home runs than he does, but he just doesn't really do that. And Royce Lewis, alright year, I guess. Not anything crazy. Only 26 homers. I don't know. It's a decent year, not anything super special for Royce Lewis, I would say. Ronald Guzman, took a bad step back, man. He wasn't very good this season. He was very good last year, but not very good this season, man. And honestly, I do not really like Ronald Guzman here. Just not a very great offensive first baseman, so we'll see. Nick Pratto only played in 50 games, but he was pretty darn bad in those 50 games. And then Luis Camposano, his offense is terrible. His defense is really good. His offense is terrible. And just not a good offensive catcher at all. So, no surprise really that he was that bad. I mean, 14 home runs and 50 RBIs. Just not anything crazy and not anything super good there for Luis Camposano. And overall, just such a disappointing team, man. Just such a disappointing team. Such a disappointing lineup. And a really disappointing pitching staff and bullpen. I mean, again, this is a team that, in my eyes, is a playoff team. Should be a playoff team. And they were just way below every expectation for this season. Just really, really struggled. So, yeah, I mean, just not a great season from them. And then we get to a team that had the worst record in the entire league, and the Kings. This team is so bad. We're going to go through this team pretty darn fast. Devin Smeltzer was very good, though. I want to trade him because I want to get him out of here in New Orleans because this team is not going anywhere, and he's 30 years old. He's a very good pitcher, man. Easily the best player on this team, I would think. And, Devin Smeltzer is very good, and he was very, very good this past year. A 3.01 ERA, I mean, a career year. Never mind. He was very good in Las Vegas in 2021. But overall, just really, really good season for Devin Smeltzer. He's a very, very good pitcher, for sure. Chris Kubik, not good. Sean Newcomb, not good. Really, really awful, actually. Is not... Tanner Rainey, not good. Just really bad pitching here. I mean, you can see it. Really terrible pitching here. David Peterson, also bad. The bullpen, not anything super special to write home about either because it's just not good. John Duplanter, he was all right. Virtually really, really similar numbers to last year, but not very good for him. Dante Stover was just okay in his rookie season. Julio Francisco was all right. Really not anything super crazy good there. 3.86 on the ERA. And, a 1.4 whip. I mean, it's good. He's one of their better relievers, and he's still very young and only 23. Jose Montez, not good. Carl Edwards Jr. sucked. Emmanuel Clase was actually surprisingly good for the first time ever in this franchise, really. He increased a good amount, so Emmanuel Clase actually did something well for once in his career. Good job to Emmanuel Clase, man. A career year for him, certainly. And then D'Angelo Punto, I mean, he was good. But overall, not a good lineup. And then a very bad lineup, actually. Not a good pitching staff. And this lineup was really, really bad. Sam Escobar was kind of decent. Not really anything super crazy in his rookie year. Brian Yacchio was bad. Only 11 home runs. Just not a good season for him. Nick Madrigal, not very good either. I mean, only 238 on the average. Just not very good here for Nick Madrigal. Don't like Nick Madrigal at all. He's just been such a disappointment in this franchise. J.D. Davis was god-awful. Not even 100 hits and 500 at-bats. I mean, that's ridiculous. A 190 average. Wow, terrible there. Oscar Mercado, a pretty average center fielder, all things considered, not very good there. Ono Cruz, also pretty bad. He won Rookie of the Year in 2024, but he's been really bad since then. And Joe Adele, also bad. Joey Bart, really also very bad. He was very good at the beginning of the year, I'll say, but he really cooled off in the second half, big time, and just did not finish very well to this season. He did increase in potential, and he had some good player increases, but still not a good year for him. And then Gary Harrison didn't play much, not very good. I mean, just really, this is the worst offense in the league, and it's just really, really hard to even look at that lineup, man. It's just not good at all. Now, this team is going to have a free agent problem because they have so many here. Aaron Nola is one of them, and the biggest one. And he finally, in his contract year, actually performed like a proper pitcher would and a proper ace would. Finally had a good season. Finally had, around 1 whip and under 3 ERA. It's the first time he's ever done it in this entire franchise, and that should tell you a lot about just what kind of pitcher he's been in this series. Dustin May was pretty awful. That's just not good at all. Trevor Bauer was also pretty awful. Just terrible there. Patrick Corbin was also pretty awful. I mean, just this pitching staff was overall very not good. Tyler Beatty was actually all right, but I mean, besides him and Aaron Nola, just a really bad pitching staff, and this is not a very good bullpen here at all. Gonna pretty much fly through it. Matt Bowman was actually kind of legit in 72 innings, an under 3 ERA and a 1.22 WHIP. Okay, but I mean, Adebayo Ramos was all right. He was pretty decent. Eden Seals was actually pretty good. He was their best reliever this year. He was very, very good, 2.62 and 1.15. I mean, he's definitely been a very good reliever before. So, Ty Buttrey was okay, pretty darn good. One of the better, relief pitchers in the league. So he was fine. 39 saves, only 6 blown saves. That's decent. The offense is very good, I would say. Doug McCall, just a pretty average offensive player. But you get Richie Helm, and he honestly did not perform like they wanted him to. Got him from Charlotte, and he was just not that great. Only 26 home runs, a down year for him. Nolan Arenado, though, this guy is maybe the best third baseman in the entire league. I mean, he's so good, man. Another amazing season for him. Another season with over 100 RBIs. 313 average. He's just ridiculous. And then Paul Goldschmidt, 38 years old. And yet, he actually had a very good season. He really decreased. I mean, he kind of tanked in overall this year. But he had an amazing season. He had almost 30 home runs and almost 100 RBIs. A 280 average. But it is one of the worst years that he's had in his career, especially recently. So that's kind of why we let his stats kind of decrease that much, because overall, when you compare it to what he's done in his past, it's just not an amazing season. So, but still very, very good. Still really good for Paul Goldschmidt. But he is going to be 39 next year, so honestly, how good can you say he's going to be? It's hard to say that he's going to be anything really that great. Austin Meadows was really good. I mean, this guy's one of the top outfielders in the league, and my goodness, he was something special again this year. 298 for the average, dude. 35 home runs and 90 RBIs. He's such a good offensive player, and he's been a good offensive player for 4 years running now, and he will also be a free agent. So it'll be interesting to see if he is going to be on this team next year or not. We'll see. Kyle Tucker took another step in the right direction, I think, with his development, and I think he's starting to become a good outfielder in the league. He had a pretty decent season last year at a career high in home runs and RBIs. He had some good increases for sure. He's good defensively for sure. Really got a +9 increase to contact versus lefties. So, we'll see. I don't know. He's just kind of an average player right now, but we'll see what he can do in the future. Now, Chase Strumpf was pretty decent, actually. 280 on the average. That's a career year for him. And he was pretty darn good there. Now, William Everett was just all right. He's pretty much an all right catcher. Not much to speak of here for Everett. He's pretty average. He's only 25, so you think, okay, he could still grow. So we'll see. I think he can still grow. And overall, it's a good offense, man. It's a good offense for sure. But the pitching let them down. It did. We'll see what this team looks like, because they're going to look different for sure, because they're going to have a lot of guys that are going to be free agents this season for sure. So we'll see, and Aaron Nola being the biggest one of them. All right, now Las Vegas, this was a bad team here. Sandy Alcantara was an all-right pitcher, pretty decent, but Sonny Foley was bad. Steven Arellano was actually pretty decent. He got some pretty good increases as well, so pretty good for him. Ramon Murillo pitched in only 10 games, 63 innings, was actually good in those 63 innings, so okay, rookie year, 27 years old, increase in potential, and had a pretty good increase in overall too, so that's good. Good for Ramon Murillo. Steven Matz, pretty bad here. He only pitched 40 innings, but he was bad in that 48 innings. Peter Lambert, bad. Andrew Church, rookie year, pretty bad. Paul Fry, bad. Andrew Bass, bad. Clevenger, bad. Evan Ortiz was actually good. Somehow with 71 overall, potential player. He actually did perform very well. Juan Soto was okay, 50 innings. It's a bad team. It's a bad team. You know, they were one of the worst. They were the worst team in this division here in the National League West. So nothing crazy at all. This team is not very good. Victor Robles is incredible defensively, but the offense, no, it's not good. And it wasn't very good last year either. He's just such a weak offensive player. It's kind of ridiculous. Tommy Edman was really bad last year. He is certainly at the end of his career. He is, he's just falling off right now. And yeah, he's just not really the same player he used to be at all. And he is pretty bad here. Luis Arias, decent. I mean, 16 home runs, He's not really a home run or RBI guy. He gets on base, and that's what he does, and that's what he did last year. So it's a right season for him. Gary Sanchez, another really good season. This is the best offensive catcher, strictly speaking, in the entire league. And yeah, I mean, he batted .284 last year, which is actually kind of ridiculous. That's a career high in average. I don't know where the high average, the .280 offense average came from. But again, 34 home runs, 94 RBIs. He's an amazing catcher. So he is going to be a free agent, though. So we'll definitely see him go to another team. This team has no real reason to sign him. And then you have Kyle Schwarber, who was pretty decent last year. He was all right. He will also be going to a different team next year, I'm thinking. He's, free agent. Not really any reason for Las Vegas to keep him around. Edwin Yon, kind of a step back in some senses from what he did in his rookie year. We almost won Rookie of the Year. It's still a good year for Edwin Yon, and he's still increased, but when you compare it to his rookie year, I honestly think he did better last year than he did this year. So, it's all right. Whatever. He still did good. He's still only 24 years old. Anthony Rizzo, he's at the end of his career. He's did terrible this year. He needs to probably retire here pretty soon because he was really bad last season. So, and then Monte Ruizio, pretty bad as well. I mean, he's he's a defensive first kind of guy, and he was just not very good. The average was really below average. So, and the offense in general was really below average. So, overall, it's a bad team here. You can see it. You can see why. Just not any good pitchers. Not very good in the offensive department either. So this team was very surprising. This team was 500, 82, and 82. And this team had a very good positive step in their rebuilding process because that's what this team is doing right now. This team is rebuilding, and they took a very, very good positive step in the right direction this year. Tanner Tully, very good. Jordan Belozovic, pretty awful. He's been awful in this entire franchise. The most disappointing pitcher in the entire league. He is just consistently bad here. I'm getting very frustrated with Jordan Belozovic because they're paying him a lot of money, and he consistently just fails to do anything good. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Reggie Lentz, what a season for him last year. He's only 24 years old. He was unbelievable. Very, very, very good there. Increased very good, very well. 2.78 ERA, really good. And Sandy Gaston showed positive improvement from the year before in his rookie season. It's still not anything crazy, but when you compare it to what he did last year, the 4.09 ERA is certainly a lot better, and he's certainly improved a lot as well from last year. So hopefully he can keep that positive, he can keep it going, and he can continue to be a good pitcher, and he continue to improve. For sure, that's the hope with Sandy Gaston, for sure. And then you go to the bullpen here, and the bullpen was just pretty alright. Matthew Allen was not great. I mean, a 4.15 ERA, nothing special there. Joe Cotton, who was actually, kind of moved to the bullpen, wasn't good. Touki Toussaint was legit, though. I don't know where it came from, but he increased like crazy. +6, +7, +6, +7. And he was kind of nasty this year, man. 2.27 ERA and a 1.29 WHIP. I mean, man, Touki Toussaint was actually very, very, very good. And, very good season for him for sure. Kyle Wright only pitched 25 innings. He was okay. J.B. Wonderkin was pretty bad, 5.22. Sean Fenn was pretty bad as well. And, this bullpen, pretty weak. But then you get to Armando Cabrera, and this guy is insane. 24 years old, and look at this season, man. 45 saves on a 500 baseball team. But look at the average ERA. 1.98 ERA, a 1.02 whip. He might be the reliever of the year in the National League. He was just unreal, lights out. So good. Now, you go to the lineup here, and it's very young. And, it's guys that kind of need to improve, I think. But very young lineup here for sure. David Montalado, 150 games, not very good at all, really. Pretty disappointing. Olivas Martinez, kind of a very similar season to last year, but I honestly think last year he did better. This season was kind of worse for him offensively. He's only 24 still. I believe he's going to be a very good player in this league, but he kind of took a little bit of a step back. And then you get to Leo Cora. This guy's the rookie of the year, I would assume. I mean, look at the numbers for him. 24 homers, 69 RBIs, nice. But a 261 average, a 330 on base. He was excellent. So good. And he was, I predicted him to win the rookie of the year. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen for him, man. +5. He increased a lot. He's only 24. Leo Cora is a stud in the making. I really believe that. Now, Roger Balladares was pretty good, honestly. Pretty good here. 21 home runs, 50 RBIs. And, not a whole, in less games than a lot of other players, but he was good. Julio Rodriguez is getting kind of cracked. He's getting scary good now. 30 home runs this past season, a career high. 90 RBIs, a career high. The average is just all right, but oh boy, he is starting to get the power. He's starting to get the power right. He is starting to become a really good offensive piece. So we'll see. Watch out for him. Now, Alvaro Rosario, he 85 games is kind of a lot, 200 at bats, and he wasn't very good. 238 average, not a great MLB action, but he's an 87 overall already. He's only going to be 22 next year, so don't really worry about Alvaro Rosario. He's going to be good. He just needs to have a little bit of time. And then they traded for Vito Brujan at the deadline of Seattle, and he was very good here for them. 272 average, 22 homers, 73 RBIs. He's entering the prime of his career, it seems to me. Only 27, only has 4 years of service time, an A potential player, an 88 overall. I like Vito Brujan. I like this trade that they did, and I like the Rattlers getting Vito Brujan to improve on a already very young team here. Now, Bobby Witt, pretty disappointing. He is good defensively, but man, the offense has got to come along. He is really not good offensively, and he wasn't very good offensively last year either. So, overall, it's a decent team, man. It's a team that's young, and it's a team that's still growing, but it's a decent team. But my goodness, do they have prospects down here. Michael Enfield, really, really good. Josh Nowakowski is insane. He's going to be pitching next year at some point. Ivan Cabrera, very, very good. He would be potential that increased this past season. Rod Harley's going to be in this team's bullpen next year. He's good. Andres Villarreal was absolutely cracked in the offseason this year. He had a 2 ERA in AAA this past year. He is so good, man. He's going to be in this bullpen next year. Ethan Matthews looks really good. He's probably going to be in this bullpen next year. William Oregon struggled in the majors this year, so we'll see. I'm going to probably have him start in the bigs, but he's still very young with A potential. And then you have Brian Vasquez, who's 21, and probably going to be starting either next year or the year after that. We'll have to see what they do with their outfield situation. I think they're going to get an outfielder in free agency, is what my guess would be, because that's a position of need for them, but we'll see. But man, I mean, they have so much pitching talent, especially in the minor leagues. They're a team that's kind of set up to be a good team here in the future. Now you go to the Tides, and what can I say more about Clayton Kershaw, my dude? So good. He had another amazing season. He's 38 years old, and he had a 2.82 ERA. He's so ridiculously good, and so is Griffin Canning. The last few years, really since 2023, he has been a top pitcher in the league, and he was so good again this season. The rest of the pitching staff, pretty average, not anything super special there. But this bullpen was kind of cracked. Not even gonna lie. Robert DeSelman was incredible with a 2.70 ERA and a 1.22 WHIP. He had 50 saves last year, and he was great. Gene Cosby was out of this world. He was so good. 2.17 ERA, a 1.09 WHIP. He gave up 17 runs in 70 innings pitched. He was crazy good. And man, as Gene Cosby has merged into one of the best relievers in the entire league this season, really over the last few years, he's just emerged as such a good relief pitcher, man. Since 2024, he's just been legit. So good. I love Gene Cosby here. Nick Lodolo was alright, one of the pretty bad relievers there, but Jordan Hicks was very good, 3.67. And then Corey Knebel as their closer, legit. 2.87 ERA, 1.16 WHIP, 41 saves, only 5 blown saves. He's really good. I mean, that's such a good bullpen, dude. It's such a good bullpen. But overall, it's a weaker team because they finished only 500 around there because their offense was really weak. And, we'll see it here. But Jason Molina, alright. Nothing too special there. And Eddie Rosario was pretty darn good with 33 homers and 84 RBIs. And a good average. He's been good. He was good. He was pretty bad at Boston. And he was better than expected. And then Fernando Tatis, I mean, ridiculous. Such a good year for Fernando, dude. 44 homers, 186 hits, 327 average, and almost 400 on base, and 1,000 OPS season for him. A 650 slugging percentage. I mean, 44 homers, a career high, 114 RBIs. He is so ridiculously good. He is unbelievable. And yet his potential went down, which is one of the stupidest things about this game ever, but he's such a good player, maybe the top shortstop in the entire league. And then you get to Giovanni Oliveros, who, honestly, it's a step down. He had 43 home runs last year. He was so good last season. And this year, he was just pretty average. Not anything super special about Oliveros. Not very good here. Austin Riley was ridiculous with the power numbers. And remember, he wasn't on this team the entire year, so, but 39 home runs, I mean, how can you complain about that? You can't complain about 39 dingers. And the power numbers, +7, +9, makes sense that they would go up a lot. And Austin Riley was honestly pretty darn good. But you get Marcus Semien, who's 35 years old. He's at the end of his career, at the end of his rope. He's not going to be signed next year, I don't think. And he was very average offensively. And Aaron Judge, also very average. This guy has fallen off a cliff here in the last 2 seasons. It really came out of nowhere because he's been a good offensive player before then, but he just fell off a cliff. He's fallen off a cliff the last 2 years, and he tanked in overall. He's just a liability now because they're still going to be paying this ridiculous contract, the Tides are. So, unfortunately for the Tides and Honolulu, they're really going to be stuck with one of the really more average to pretty bad outfielders in the league. And man, Aaron Judge in this game, don't know what it is, but he really just has been taking the last couple of seasons. So it's unfortunate, but unfortunately that's what has happened to Aaron Judge in this game. And then Francisco Mejia is just a really bad catcher. I mean, there's nothing more to say really there. 218 average is awful. He's just a bad offensive player right there. And then overall, the offense is just really weak. The offense is not very good here, and that's the reason why they missed out on the division and they missed out on the playoffs. It's just their offense was not good enough to carry the load. And yes, they had a good bullpen, but really Clayton Kershaw and Griffin Canning were the only 2 really good pitchers that they had on their team. And meanwhile, here's a team that won the National League West, and this team is kind of cracked, dude. I mean, Derek Rodriguez was excellent, 2.95 ERA, a good season for him. One of his better seasons since he came over from Las Vegas. And what a signing here by the Sharks. Really, really good. And then Luis Patino was nasty. 2.67 ERA. Really went up and increased. 1.12 whip. I mean, ridiculous. Over 200 innings pitched. Luis Patino was insane. He was the real deal. And is he going to finally be one of those top pitchers in the league now? He's only 26. He might be entering his prime now here, going into his age 27 season. Watch out. He's going to be a star, I would think. And then Zach Plesac, who they got in a trade from San Francisco, was very, very good. They got Joe Musgrove in a trade from Vancouver. He had a very good season at 3.78 with a 1.2 whip. I mean, the pitching staff, it's really, really good. It's pretty dang loaded. Mackenzie Gore was pretty bad here in the number 5 spot, but he is a number 5 pitcher. We'll see. Adrian Morehound, he was very bad as a starter, but man, he was good as a long relief pitcher. Very, very good here. 3.01 ERA for him and a 1.15 whip in 80 innings pitched. Maybe he is more of a long relief pitcher in honesty because he was very, very good here in this long relief role this season. Rob Santos, very good. I mean, rookie year, what more can you want? 97 innings from him. He increased a lot. Very good, under 4 ERA. A very decent rookie year for him for sure. Mario Vasquez was pretty bad. Actually very bad. Rodney Garlaga was, it was okay. He was the closer at the start of the year, but then we moved him out because he just wasn't doing it. Sammy Perez was very good, though. 23 years old only. He was very good. Jamie Severino was kind of nasty as well. 3.26 ERA and a 1.10 whip. Now, he was their closer near the end of the year, and he had 3 blown saves and 25 saves. So, overall, this is such a good young bullpen. It's kind of ridiculous how good and young this bullpen is. And it's a very good starting pitching staff. So, I really do like this team, and I really like the offense as well. Here as we get to Julian Webster, who is so, so good. 30 home runs again this year. He is an incredible leadoff hitter. Almost 200 hits the last 2 years. But, man, the average kind of dipped a little bit. But still, such a good year for Julian Webster. And he's really good defensively as well. One of the better shortstops in the entire league right now. Byron Buxton was kind of cracked this year as well. I mean, he had a career high in average, or tied a career high in average. Actually, never mind. Take that back. But, he's going to be a free agent, and this team is going to want to sign him back because he might finally be starting to figure it out and have a good, rest of his career. Because 26 home runs, 83 RBIs, and 837 OPS. He was really impressive last season, so very, very good there for him. Bobby Ullman was very good as well. I mean, the 292 average, very good. 23 homers, 81 RBIs. I mean, the offensive stats for him are off of the charts. They're just so, so good. So, Bobby Ullman, man, a very good player here. And very good season for him. Now, Jay Cave, this team traded for Jay Cave from Miami. And, wow, he was ridiculous. 297 average. I thought he would get more home runs than 19. But 83 RBIs, I mean, you got a guy that, has those kind of numbers, +7, +5. Jay Cave, he gets on base. That's what he does, and he got on base with this team when he got there. So I really like Jay Cave. Carter K-Boom was pretty dang good, too. I mean, he was very decent. I liked Carter K-Boom. He's very good defensively. One of the best defensive guys in the league, and that offense is coming around. He's in his prime right now, and his offense is very good. Now, Tim Brady, he won Rookie of the Year last year, and he took a big, big step back this season in production. Only a 250 average with 17 homers. I mean, just not as good a season as last year. And then Hunter Dozier, just a very average offensive player. A very average player. I mean, not anything super crazy special, but he gets the job done. He is still a very, valuable piece to this team. And then Will Smith had 28 home runs this year, despite only batting .237. He had a decent on base, but the average is very, very low for him. But yeah, career high in home runs. He's been a very good catcher in the league, and he was very good here, going over to San Diego. Yeah, it's just a good offense. It's a good team, 86 wins, so we'll see what they can do here in the playoffs. We'll have to see. But now we got one more team here in the National League West, and that is the Razorbacks, who were not very good this season. And they didn't have Ryan Weathers and Nate Pearson were actually very, very decent there in the starting pitching department, but Sean Jelly, the tall man, was just not very good overall this season. And Sammy Wood Richardson, I put him in the starting role this season, and he pitched a lot more innings than he's ever has, and he really struggled. He definitely did not perform very well. Zach Davis actually did pretty good there. He was their best pitcher besides Nate Pearson. Actually, never mind. I had to take that back, but he was still good. Josh Rogers, 2.3, 2.5 ERA, only pitched 36 innings, but he was actually pretty decent in those 36 innings, so good on Josh Rogers. Jose Lopez was bad. Paul Sewald was pretty bad, 4.02. Chance Adams was very bad in 70 games. Daniel Lynch was very bad. Alex Claudio, very bad. And the only positive that you can take from this bullpen, really, is Felipe Dorta. And Felipe Dorta is actually kind of cracked. He had a 2.53 ERA, very, very good. He was very good last year. He's easily their best bullpen arm. And then you go to the lineup, and it's just not very good here, guys. Jacob Amaya is alright. He's decent. Not anything super crazy special, I don't think, from Jacob Amaya. He is only 26. Going to be only 26, but he's alright. Julius Lyle is pretty bad offensively. Really bad defensively. Brendan Davis did not have a good rookie season. Only batted 205. Had a very, very awful 261 on base. I mean, that's just not good. At 593 OPS. Really bad season for him. Rhys Heinz, he's their best offensive player easily. 32 home runs. He had 32 home runs last year. He is really, really good offensively, honestly. And he's only 26. We'll see what they do. We'll see how long this team actually keeps Rhys Heinz, because he is really, really their only good offensive piece at all. Trent Grisham, not very good here. Only batting 237. He did bad enough that I didn't trade him this year, and I was going to trade him, but he was just did not do good enough for me to actually pull the trigger on a trade. And, yeah, I mean, you see the offense here, and it's very bad. C.J. Abrams, such a disappointing player right now, and he was very bad last year. And then Yasmani Grandal, kind of decent, I guess, for being a 37-year-old, but still not very good. So, 38 years old next year, his career is pretty much done. And then we go to the Crusaders here. This is the last team we're going to be covering and we're going to be looking at here. And Dylan Cease, this team won 97 or 96 games this year. They were very, very good. And it's because their offense is legit. It's so good. Their pitching staff is very good, too, here. Alex Young, who they signed from Chicago, what a signing he was. 2.53 ERA and a 1.17 whip. Alex Young was nasty this year. Kind of came out of nowhere. Derek Ragsdale was very, very good. A 3.10 ERA for him in 200 innings pitched. 214 innings pitched. I mean, wow. He was really, really good. Really love him. He's super young, too. Cal Quantrill was very, very good. I mean, he was a starter. Did not expect him to do anything good, and he was actually very, very good. Man, I'll take that. You take a 3.86 ERA from a guy like that. And then you go to the bullpen, and it's pretty darn good here. This was a good bullpen, man. Benjamin Jose, very, very good with a 3.3 ERA. Daniel Davis, not very good. Domingo Medina, not very good. Those guys, Jose Leclerc really struggled this year. And Emilio Pagan, though, very, very good. And Coney Keller was their closer at the end of the year. They kind of shuffled and rotated the closing pitcher in on their team because they didn't really have a set closer for a while. Because Jose Leclerc was it eventually at first, and then he was bad. But, the guy who they settled on at the end of the year, he did very good. And now this lineup is just so insane, guys. I mean, the top 5 in this batting order are impossible to get out. Brian Reynolds had almost 200 hits with almost 30 home runs and 87 ribbies. He is such a good outfielder. 310 average. I mean, almost a 400 on base. Just ridiculous. Justin Scott was ridiculous as well. 35 homers and 91 ribbies. He is a top first baseman now in the league. 298 average. He was unreal. A 910 OPS. That's such a good 1-2 punch, but then it gets even better. Look at the increases, though. His offensive numbers are just insane. 98, 93, 95, plus 11, plus 10, plus 4. I mean, it's ridiculous how much he increased this season. So, great job here. What a season from Justin Scott. Really, really good. But it does not compare in what Xander Bogaerts was able to do this year. Guys, I have to be honest with you when I say this. This is the best offensive season I've ever seen from anybody in this game. I mean, this is legit the best offensive season I've ever seen in MLB The Show. 48 home runs, 148 RBIs, over 200 hits, almost, I mean, the WAR is ridiculous. 12.5 WAR in one season for Xander Bogaerts. Unbelievable. He had 48 home runs, almost 150 ribbies, a 348 average, which is just out of this world. I mean, that's ridiculous. A 439 on base, 672 slugging, a 1.111 OPS, 215 hits, 50 doubles. He had almost 100. He had over 100 extra base hits this season. That's unreal because he also had 3 triples. He had 101 walks to only 115 strikeouts. He also had many walks as he had strikeouts. I mean, any way you slice it, you look at this season, and it's just unreal. Easily, without a doubt, the MVP. So you have that guy, the MVP of the league, one of the best offensive seasons ever, and behind him you have Bryce Harper, who hit 45 home runs and had 130 RBIs. He also walked over 100 times. He also had a 400 on-base percentage. He also had almost 1,000 OPS, and a 589 slugging. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. Those are the top 4 best hitters in the entire league. And then you add Jesse Winker. They added Jesse Winker from Boston, and he had a 315 on average. He had an over 400 on base. He had an over 900 OPS. He had 34 home runs and almost 99 and almost 100 home runs. It just doesn't get any better than that. Those are the top. That top 5 batting order is the best in the league, and it doesn't even come close. I mean, that is just an unbelievable top 5 batting order right there. It doesn't get better than that. And this team is so dangerous in the playoffs, man. With that batting lineup is ridiculous. And then, you talk about the bottom order here. Miguel Gerardo, Tony Cavaco, and Shane Langoliers. Not very good, but it doesn't matter, man. Those top 5 are so good. So, guys, next time it's the playoffs. Thank you, guys. Have a happy holidays. Happy Christmas. Happy New Year. I will talk to you guys later. You've been listening to Lucas from Mars. Remember to subscribe to the channel.